Hello my viewers, welcome back to another Hex Maniac Advance tutorial. In this video I have basic tutorial number 11, TM and Move Tutor editing. This video will cover editing TMs and HMs, including what moves they teach and their corresponding item data, editing Move Tutor moves, configuring which Pokemon can learn particular TMs or tutor moves, expanding the number of Move Tutor moves in the game, and making NPCs that teach Move Tutor moves. Before we get started, we need to make sure that you have the latest version of Hex Maniac Advance so that you have all of the latest features and the least amount of known bugs. I will have this site linked in the description, and it's basically Hex Maniac Advance's GitHub page's releases tab. The topmost version that you will see is the latest public release, and make sure to have that version when you're editing with Hex Maniac Advance. Download whatever corresponds to your operating system, so x64 for 64-bit PCs, x86 for 32-bit PCs, or the debug version if you want to help the Hex Maniac Advance developers out by reporting bugs. In order to get later versions of Hex Maniac Advance to run, you need to get .NET 6 desktop runtime. I'm also going to link this in the description. There are other .NET 6 things you can download, but make sure you get desktop runtime. It's very important. With both of these things, we'll be good to go. Also, Microsoft releases new .NET stuff really quickly. That's very surprising. Heck, even .NET 7's a thing now. Okay, I'm going to start the tutorial by showing you how to edit TMs. So there are two components to TMs in both Emerald and Fire Red, which are the items themselves and what moves each TM teaches you. I'm going to start with the easy part and going to the table of all of the TMs in the game. I'm going to go to the Go-To menu, and there are a couple ways to do that. You can click the Edit button and click Go-To, and notice the keyboard shortcut. Or you can click the House button, type moves.tms, and you'll have the table right here, data.pokemon.moves.tms. Go to it, and you're going to see a list of all of the TMs and HMs in the game. And if you click different ones, it will show you which Pokemon can learn these moves. Say I want to make TM03 teach Water Spout instead of Water Pulse. I go to the third item in the table. Because indices and tables always start at 0 in Hex Maniac Advance, Water Spout will be treated as index number 2 even though it's TM03 in-game. I click the cell that has Water Pulse, and I type Water Spout, or at least part of it until I see an option to click Water Spout. Now TM03 teaches Water Spout, and if I hover over it, you'll see Water Spout. Something you may want to do is change which Pokemon can learn Water Spout now that you changed the move. So Water Pulse is normally learned by a lot of Pokemon, but you might want to uncheck a couple of boxes if you don't want them to learn Water Spout. This process can be tedious, and it may require looking at Cerebi or Bulbapedia for an extended period of time. Editing an HM is pretty much the same thing, and all 8 HMs in Pokemon Emerald are in the TMs table as well, and they're right after TM50 Overheat. In Fire Red, there's also a table of HMs in addition to the 8 HMs after TM50 Overheat in the TMs table. I will replace HM06 Rock Smash so that it teaches Superpower instead. So we changed what moves the individual TMs taught, but the move descriptions for the TMs are still going to be there, and we'll need to update them. Now I'm going to go to the Items table. So in the Go-To menu, you can click the Items button or type Item Stats and go to the Item Stats table in the game. I will need to scroll down a lot so I can get to the TMs and HMs. If you recall, TM03 used to be Water Pulse, and if you click on it, you will see Water Pulse's description. I'm going to update it so its description matches the effect of Water Spout. Something you need to know is that item descriptions can be 3 lines long, while move descriptions are 2 lines long. Oh, by the way, the move description repointed since I made it longer than the originals. Don't worry about that. Data moves itself to free space, and you're all good. A technicality for Fire Red is that since move descriptions and item descriptions can be 4 lines long, TM descriptions and move descriptions are in the same places. So if I were to change this text, it would also be reflected in Water Pulse's move description, which we do not want. So I click repoint this one, and I can freely change TM03's move description. Since I replaced HM06 Rock Smash with Superpower, I also changed the move description of HM06. Another thing you might want to do is change the buy and sell prices of the TMs, and they are controlled with the price field in every item in the game. I changed the price field to 20,000 so that it would cost 20,000 yen to buy this TM, and you can only sell it for 10,000. Now what I'm going to do is click the play button or press F5, and it will launch the ROM directly from HMA. MGBA is a better emulator than VBA, but I'm just more accustomed to VBA. But so as you see here, TM03 is water spout, and I adjusted the move description like how I edited it in the ROM in Hex Maniac Advance. And I did the same thing for HM06 superpower. I didn't adjust the HM compatibility for superpower, so all of the Pokemon in my party can learn it, even though I might not want any of them to learn it. Also, if I take the TM03 water spout to the Pokemart in Rustboro City, you'll see that it will sell for 10,000 Poke Yen. Be cautious when editing HMs though. Now that superpower is an HM, if you try to replace it, you can't without the move deleter's help. Say I want to replace TM34 Shockwave with Explosion. Well, I can. I can just replace the move name Shockwave with Explosion. But the problem with that is that the TM would still be colored yellow instead of colored white. To fix that, go to the items table like we did before, and go to the TM34 Shockwave entry. Luckily, all TMs have the same spray, and the only difference is the palettes. Go to another TM in the game, such as Double Team for normal type moves, and copy the palette that's there, and then paste it to override the existing palette for the TM. And now TM34 is also colored white for the normal type move Explosion. You would have to make your own palette to make a bug type TM in Fire Red, Leaf Green, or Emerald, but that would be covered in a different tutorial. Before I continue, I need to show you how to back up your ROM just in case anything goes wrong, because if anything goes wrong and you do not make copies of your ROM in progress, then you could lose hours or even days of progress. To do it in Hex Maniac Advance, click the File button and click Export Backup. You will see a prompt about your most recent change, answer it, and click OK, and you will have the backup of your ROM and your TOM-L file. All backups created by Hex Maniac Advance are stored in a Backups folder, which is in the same directory as your ROM, and you'll see the two newly created files there. The last thing of note for the TMs section of the video is that you cannot safely expand the list of TMs in the game because it's hard-coded into the game that there are 50 TMs and 8 HMs in all of the Generation 3 games. You would have to go great lengths to undo some of the code that Game Freak put into their games so that you can add more TMs into the game. Even if this table was safely expandable, which it's not, adding another move to this list would be treated as an HM instead of a TM. As I said before, the last 8 moves in this table are HMs and not TMs. And it would also mess up which Pokemon can learn which TMs and HMs. Fortunately, there's kind of a solution to this, and it comes in the form of move tutors. Like TMs, they can also teach the player's Pokemon some extra moves that may be helpful in battle. Type moves.tutors into the go-to menu, and you will go to the list of tutors in the game. I'm also going to do the same thing in Fire Red, and once I do, you will notice that the list of move tutor moves are significantly different between both games. What I'm going to do first is change Mega Kick in Pokemon Fire Red to Blaze Kick, and the process is pretty much the same. Go to the part where it says Mega Kick in the table and type in Blaze Kick. I'm now going to load the game in my emulator, and I'm already at the location that has the move tutor for Mega Kick. So I talked to him, and I tried to teach my Flareon Blaze Kick. I forgot to update the move tutor compatibility. I thought the Flareon checkbox for the Mega Kick move slot was already checked. Anyways, whenever you make a change in the ROM, it's usually a good idea to test it in-game to make sure everything works as intended. I scroll down to the list of Pokemon that can learn Blaze Kick, and I check the one for Flareon. Now I'm reloading my ROM, and I can successfully teach Blaze Kick to this Pokemon. You can also look at TM or tutor compatibility for an individual Pokemon. Sometimes it's more convenient to look at a Pokemon and edit which moves it can learn via Move Tutor or TM. If I want to edit the moves Unknown can learn, I go to the Go-To menu and I type Unknown, then I click Data, Pokemon, Moves, and either Tutor Compatibility or TM Compatibility. I scroll down in the table tool to look for the TM compatibility and tutor compatibility tables. I'm doing this randomly, but I can check the boxes that correspond to the moves I want this Pokemon to learn. As you can see, instead of Water Pulse, you see Water Spout on the second row of TMs. And I can do the same for Move Tutor moves. If you, in-game, go to the respective move tutors for the moves you just checked, you will find out that Unknown can now learn these moves instead of the default of Unknown only being able to learn Hidden Power through level up. Now, what if instead of replacing existing tutor moves, you wanted to add more of them to the game? Well, one thing you could do is go to the last entry of the table, which in this case is Fury Cutter, and you'll see an Add One New button. However, like the TMs table, you cannot expand this safely without severe side effects to your ROM. There are limiters that are hard-coded into the game that prevent you from expanding this table, and you'll need to do something within Hex Maniac Advance first in order to bypass those limiters. Fortunately, unlike TMs, there is a utility that lets you make move tutors expandable. Click the Utilities button, hover over Expand, and click Make Move Tutors Expandable. Wait a couple of seconds for the process to do its thing, and you can carry on. Now I can type in how many elements to expand the table by, and click Add 4 New in this case. The table will expand and you will not experience any side effects. I will replace one of the duplicate Fury Cutter elements, and I will replace it with Comet Punch. I'm about to show you something pretty cool. Here I click Mega Punch and I will scroll down to show all of the Pokemon that can learn Mega Punch. I click the copy button to copy all of this data. I then go back to Comet Punch and I click the paste button. This process will take a while because you're pasting a lot of data at once. Now all of the Pokemon that can learn Comet Punch will be exactly the same as the ones that can learn Mega Punch, at least for now. I can adjust which Pokemon can learn Comet Punch without it affecting Mega Punch's move compatibility. The next thing I'm going to mention is how to make NPC scripts that teach these move tutor moves. Now this part requires advancement because you need that program to load maps from your ROM and assign scripts to those NPCs in the map. So I'm going to open Advanced Map now. My ROM is already loaded, but in this case I'm going to go to Rustboro City, which is where I want to add an NPC to teach Comet Punch. I add one more NPC to the map, and I customize it a little bit. Now I have to give it an NPC script address. To do that, I minimize Advanced Map, and I go to the bottom left of Hex Maniac Advance to the free space field. You will see a magnifying glass. Click it, and it will ask you how many bytes of free space you want. For NPC scripts like this, 100 bytes should be enough. Right-click the first byte that was just selected, and click Copy Address. You will use this address in Advanced Map. After you give the NPC the script offset that you just pasted, you can click Save to save changes. Now we're going to write the entire NPC script in Hex Maniac Advance. Make sure the code type is set to script and we'll be ready to go. So I start off by typing load pointer 0 and the less than sign, 6 question marks, and the greater than sign. This made Hex Maniac Advance choose a free space offset to insert a text string that you can edit. Next, I use the call std command to make the game display a text box based on what text the game found when you use the load pointer command. I will just make the NPC ask whether or not the player wants to teach Comet Punch to a Pokemon. For more information on text editing in Hex Maniac Advance, check out my tutorial on that. Since I'm asking a yes or no question, I need a compare command to compare the two values. 800D is synonymous with the last result. The yes option corresponds to the number 1. Now I'm going to add a command that jumps to another address in the ROM if, in this case, the yes option was selected. I picked another address in free space to jump to if the condition is met. Next, I add another load pointer command, and I manually pick another free space offset. This will just be what the NPC is going to say if you click no. In the next line, I type call std6, which makes it so that it will load another text box and do nothing else. At the bottom of the window, you will see another orange set of quotation marks. I'm going to just fill in that text with another message that will just tell the NPC that they can come again. After we added the skeleton code, now I'm going to add the commands that will be ran if the user actually wanted to teach Comet Punch to their Pokemon. So I add commands that make another message box, and it will basically ask the player which Pokemon they want to teach Comet Punch to. Next, I'm going to set a temporary variable to 23, which, if you look at the move tutors table, corresponds to the move Swagger at element number 23. After, I type special 477, which makes the player choose a Pokemon to learn a move tutor move. Wait state makes sure that future commands don't run until the player lets them run. And then I add lock and face player. Other move tutor scripts in the game have these commands after wait state. The next two lines of code are reserved for just in case the player doesn't end up teaching Comet Punch to a Pokemon. It will jump the script to a new address in free space. The rest of the script is basically just the NPC telling the player to have fun after successfully teaching Comet Punch. I have a couple of pointers to text in which the text strings have not been filled. First, I'm going to provide the message that corresponds to the NPC asking which player is going to learn Comet Punch. Then I fill out the next text string that corresponds to the NPC saying have fun after successfully teaching Comet Punch to a Pokemon. I round out the NPC script by adding another text box for the NPC complaining to the player that they changed their mind about Comet Punch. I also implement the corresponding text string like we've done before. In the script's current state, this NPC will actually teach Swagger because I made a mistake. Now I'm going to fix it. I'm going to replace 23 to 30 so it corresponds to Comet Punch's entry in the move tutors table at index number 30. Now I will show you everything about the move tutor in the game. If I talk to the new NPC and say no, she will tell you that she will see you soon. If I say yes, then I will have the opportunity to teach Comet Punch to one of my Pokemon. Afterwards, she tells me to have fun. I can talk to the NPC again and demonstrate what would happen if I ended up not teaching Comet Punch to my Pokemon. Note that the text gets cut off a little bit. Unlike the default move tutors, I configured this one so that you can teach this move infinitely. You can always borrow code from an existing move tutor if you want, for some reason, to make the move tutor a single use. If you're still a bit uneasy about making an NPC script that teaches these move tutor moves, I apologize. Fortunately, you don't necessarily need to know what all of the commands do on a technical level. You can get by with knowing the gist of each command. Also, you can transcribe the NPC script I have up here, character by character, and you can see how the commands work together to make this NPC script in your ROM via a hands-on approach. The last thing I'm going to mention is a little quirk with Fire Red. If you go back to the move tutors table, you won't find any entries for Blast Burn, Hydro Cannon, nor Frenzy Plant, the three elemental versions of Hyper Beam. Thus, it would be hard to configure which Pokemon can learn those elemental versions of Hyper Beam. The move expansion utility addresses that, and it will allow you to make those three moves part of the moves tutors table, so you could use them like any other move tutor move in the game. And that's all I got for you all today. You have definitely learned a lot about move tutor and TM editing. I hope you enjoyed this video, and I hope that you will check out the other Hex Maniac Advance tutorials on Hex Maniac Advance's GitHub page. Be sure to like, comment, subscribe, and join our Discord so that you can talk to us, ask questions, report bugs, or even propose new features for Hex Maniac Advance. Now, my viewers, I will leave you with the outro song.